Yeah, yeah. Making her way to the mic. They start dimming the lights. You start feeling alright. From Birmingham, home of the Teddy Longs, and the room is stutters. More once you discover. For all of the lovers, Whitney Houston and Roman Reigns. For all of the lovers, and Mickey James and Marvin Gaye. For all of the lovers, and Sasha Banks, Janelle Monáe, Silk, Sonic, and Paige. Allow me to say, look, I just found a place, sweet escape for every one of us. I was kinda late, cause I just made it off the struggle bus. Walking by the fate, cause I know it's right in front of us. Yo, I ain't with the hate, gotta focus on what's great. Ladies and gentlemen, Steph Hardy is on the air. Had to drop a couple bars just to make you all aware. So, sit back, relax, enjoy the show. You know I go by Joe or the rest of the flow, yeah.
Hey y'all, welcome to a new episode of your girl Stephanie Hardy. I am so happy to be before you on this Friday, the Friday before Labor Day weekend and a Friday before another special holiday that's coming up. But I'll get into that a little bit later. Thank you guys so much for joining me live. And of course, oh, excuse me. And of course, if you're not able to watch this live, you can watch this on the YouTube channel on the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. You can subscribe over there and watch this a little bit later in the live folder. You can watch it there later and listen to it later on all audio platforms. I am so excited because this here again is another big wrestling weekend because last weekend it was all in. AEW in London. It was really amazing. It was a pretty cool show. For the most part, history was made, new champions were crowned, extreme matches took place. It was just really insane. But of course, this weekend, WWE is sort of taking over a bit. This weekend, in the midst of everything else with WoW superheroes and other things, with two pay per views. They have Bash in Berlin, which we're going to talk about and give predictions for, which is tomorrow in Berlin, Germany. And on Sunday, they are having NXT No Mercy. And I will be doing a prediction show for that on tomorrow. So it's going to be a really cool weekend. So, of course, as the show is going on, tell me, what matches you're looking forward to in Bash in Berlin and NXT No Mercy if you want to. Just tell me all the things that's on your mind, and you might pop up on the screen. Your comments might pop up on the screen. Light up the chat. This is a free, welcome space and a safe space for wrestling fans. So please, by all means, share your thoughts and feelings about what's currently going on in wrestling. But of course, we are here to talk about Bash in Berlin, which is taking place in Berlin, Germany on tomorrow, which is August the 31st. Now, of course, this flyer says Mercedes-Benz Arena, but since then, since they've made the announcement of this show, it has now turned into the Uber Arena because Uber purchased it. So now it's called the Uber Arena. And in between it, I thought it was so funny every time they showed pictures of it on TV. It's right next to an Uber Eats building. And I think that's just really interesting because, of course, if you get food or groceries delivered in that way, you can use Uber Eats for that. But Uber Arena is now the name of it. So that's what we're going with. And of course, for those wrestling fans and wrestling media people who are over there, I hope you're having a fabulous time and I hope you're being safe. As safe as you possibly can, in a new environment if this is your first time over there. But yeah, it looks really beautiful over there in Berlin. I see a lot of media people releasing content already. So shout out to y'all for that opportunity. So Bash in Berlin is actually making history as the first WWE PLE to be held in Germany. But they did have prior history there that was highlighted on SmackDown last week. And it was narrated by Natalia, who was telling a little bit of her family history with a special segment that they had on WWE's history in Germany. So In 1996, WWE, which was WWF at the time, had their Champions Tour over there. And then in March of 1997, the very next year, they held their very first Monday Night Raw in Berlin, which was the first Raw ever broadcast outside of North America. That's just pretty huge stuff for the 90s, right? What a time to be alive and what a time to be born. The main event was Owen Hart versus Davey Boy Smith for to become the first ever WWF European champion. And of course, this is a part of the reason why Natalia was narrating it. It is on WWE's YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it, it's really good. Because, of course, these are her uncles. And of course, they're both dearly departed now, but it is nice that they were giving them their flowers to talk about the history of WWE in Germany and what they've done in the past and how that feeds into the future. And Natalia talked about how amazing this match was and how, in the end, Davey Boy Smith wound up winning and he cut a promo afterward, and that was really cool. So he became the first ever European champion for WWE. And on this show, you also had Bret Hart, The Rock, Mankind, who cut a promo in German, and Psycho Sid, who sadly passed away this week due to cancer. So we send our best wishes and love and condolences to his family. So it was just a really nice tribute into how WWE has fed into Germany and now leading to what tomorrow is going to be in terms of their first PLE being held in Germany in that way. So that was a really cool tidbit to learn right there. So, moving into the current state of being for Bash in Berlin, the official theme song is Ratatata by Baby Metal and Electric Callboy. These are two bands that I have never really heard of before, but you know, when they announced that they were going to be doing the theme song, I'm sure from an international perspective, it means a whole lot. So, I am excited to hear more of that theme song or searching it and finding it so I can hear what the tunes are going to be because I'm a weird wrestling fan where I will remember theme songs from way way back in the day for pay-per-views. Like I'm a weirdo where sometimes I will even start humming Touche by Godsmack because that was one of the theme songs for WrestleMania 20. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird, but I just have a weird musical brain that way where I'll just remember any random song from any type of thing. So if I hear this 9 times out of 10, this is going to stick in my memory for a long period of time. So shout out to them for that opportunity of getting their theme song featured on this type of pay-per-view. So, moving into the predictions. We're going to start with the women because it's always ladies first here on the Hardy Wrestling Podcast. We have the Women's Tag Team Championship. We have Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, the Unholy Union, defending their titles against Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill. Now, of course, Bianca and Jade, along with Naomi, the big three, actually got a victory over the Unholy Union and Blair Davenport this past week on SmackDown. It was really cool. And I talked about on the last episode of HWP how much it blessed my soul to see all three of them in a ring together again for the first time since WrestleMania 40 and how I just want to see more of them together. It's just so great aesthetically. And spiritually for me as a black female wrestling fan. But of course, all of this beef stems from the fact that Alba Fire and Isla Dawn made Bianca and Jade's women's tag team title reign relatively short because they won it at Clash at the Castle in Scotland, which was their home country. And it was a really big moment for them. Having this moment because of course we had seen them behind the scenes and backstage on Monday Night Raw, but hadn't really seen them come forward a whole lot until um a couple months earlier. And then, you know, they started to sort of put themselves out there as wanting to be women's tag team champions. And they thought for sure, oh, well, we're going to beat everybody, blah, blah, blah. And they've been bragging about, you know, beating Bianca and Jade for their titles. But here again, they were in a triple threat match and they did not pin Bianca or Jade. They pinned Shayna Baszler, who was fighting alongside Zoe Stark. So that's actually who they beat for those tag titles. So since then, Bianca and Jade have been trying to work their way up to getting that opportunity, and now they have it here at Bash in Berlin. And let me just say, it is an absolute relief to see black talent on this type of pay-per-view, because for a minute, especially when it came to SummerSlam, we didn't see a lot of black talent on there. In fact, at all. So outside of our truth. So it's just really good that this change has happened here. So with that in mind, I will be giving my predictions on this show. And my first prediction for this is that I really feel that as smart as Alba and Isla and as crafty as they have been in defending their titles on Raw and on SmackDown, I genuinely feel that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill will retain. Well, not retain, will win the titles and become new champions again, because I just feel like them as champions just feels right, and it just feels very dominant and very star power ish in a way that I really feel like it could help propel the women's tag titles and the division as a whole. These are two of the strongest women that they have, in terms of athleticism, but they also give it in star power as well. And it didn't make any sense for me when they did lose them as fast as they did. So personally, I would like to see them get their lick back and get those women's tag team titles back, because they're just iconic and they just deserve it. And that's not to say that Alba and Isla don't deserve it, because they do to an extent, but at the same time, they've sort of been using all kinds of weird um dastardly ways to sort of keep their title. So I'm hoping that Bianca and Jade can beat them fair and square, and that nothing stupid will happen to take the opportunity from them and making them have to start all over again. So I'm predicting that Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill will be the new women's tag team champions. And it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. And I'm definitely here for them winning. So that's my prediction for that. And though this isn't really like a women's match, in terms of like singles competition, it's a mixed tag. So I decided to still include it in the women's match section right here. We have a mixed tag team match between the Terror Twins, Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest, going up against the women's world champion Liv Morgan and Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Now, I have gone on record multiple times and said that I cannot stand the union of Dirty Dominic and Liv Morgan, because they're just giving cringe. It's just really gross. She's always hanging off of him and, talking so much about him and not even focusing that much on herself. And he is always talking about what she does for him, but yet, you know, he's not really, I mean, he's doing stuff for her, like trying to help her win and stuff, like he did at SummerSlam. But at the same time, it's not really giving in terms of reciprocity in their relationship. And it just feels really one-sided, and it's just kind of gross to me. I don't like it. I hate that he essentially stabbed Rhea in the back after everything she had done for him and made it seem like it was all but nothing. And then after that, the ending of the Judgment Day as we knew it happened when Finn Balor decided to, destroy Damian Priest's chance of retaining his World Heavyweight Championship against Gunther, which we will talk about later. So there's a lot of anger between these two. This is a really big blood feud, with the Terror Twins and Liv and Dominic. They have gotten their hands on them on Raw over the past couple of weeks, but then the Judgment Day used their numbers game to take advantage of them. I don't know if Rhea and Damien have any other friends they can ask for help. But I feel like that would definitely help them in order to even the odds. Because I just feel like Liv and Dom are just going to cheat. In this mixed tag match right here, I just feel like it's always with the Judgment Day, it's always like 5 people against 2 people when it comes to them. And I would really love it if Rhea and Damien found some other friends or something like that. But somehow or another, they feel like they can take them themselves, due to brute force. And I don't blame them for that, because these are 2 really big, really powerful, and imposing people. So I think it's going to be fine, for the most part. Um, I feel like this match is still going to be really good, and it's going to be really satisfying to see Rhea Ripley get her hands on Liv and just throw her and smash her up against the ring post like she has been doing. It's just going to feel really, really satisfying on a deep level. Um, I'm predicting that Rhea and Damien could very well win, but even if they don't win, I feel like they might still find a way to fight them moving into Bad Blood season, because historically Bad Blood has been the place where people have ended really passionate feuds and have done it in Hell in a Cell. We don't know what we're getting in Atlanta, but either way, For now, I'm gonna predict that Rhea Ripley and Damien are gonna win, but I'm not um I'm not ruling out the possibility that Liv and Dominic are gonna use their friends to help them. So it's really hard, but I really want the Terror Twins to wind up on top. So it's crazy. So now we're moving away from the women's matches or the women/men's matches and going just straight into the men's matches. And now we're going to predict CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre in a strap match. This is something that's relatively old school for the most part, but it's still a really cool concept, if you do bring it back every now and again. And when CM Punk came out with that strap after he had beat Drew McIntyre the week before with that belt, it was so cool. And I was just like, okay, he has his strap. What's going on? And CM Punk was like, look, I want to whip this bitch. Forgive me for cursing. But he said, look, I'm going to whip this bitch. Like, he's going to be tied to me and I'm just going to rah. And I'm just like, yes, this is what I live for. So Drew McIntyre accepted the challenge, and now here we are. Now, for those who might not be as clear about the rules of a strap match, you're essentially tying yourself to the other person, to your opponent, and beating each other up. And also, and while you're beating each other up with the strap, you're having to go around and touch all four corners of the ring, all the turnbuckles in the ring, and then be able to hit a pinfall in order to beat your opponent. So this is a very old school concept. And you can tell that CM Punk kind of enjoyed explaining it because he's a very old school wrestling guy. Like, he's a very big student of the game. So I'm really looking forward to how this is going to go. I'm hoping that CM Punk is really able to get his pound of flesh, because in the last match that they had at SummerSlam, it was really, really good. CM Punk proved that he can keep up with the current WWE pace of wrestling. He really is still that guy, as much as people try to make it seem like he isn't because he's older and all that other stuff and all the other drama and whatever. He definitely can still go. And I'm just really excited to see the maliciousness of what it's going to be like to watch these people get beat with straps. Like, it's going to be insane. Um, and then, of course, this past Monday, you saw CM Punk just beating Drew McIntyre on the commentary desk, and it was definitely giving Punishment by Your Mother. Like, didn't I tell you not to touch my vase? Like, that's what it was giving, and I'm just really excited about that. So I want to predict that CM Punk is going to win this strap match because he is just very angry. He is very angry and ready to get his pound of flesh, and I'm just really hoping that he can get this victory over Drew, because Drew won the last time and it bummed me out. And then, of course, they had a special referee in the form of Seth Rollins. We haven't seen Seth Rollins since he got smashed by Big Bronson Reed, but hopefully this will just be a fair and square match and Drew won't be dirty about it and everything will be fine. But I'm predicting that CM Punk is going to win this one, which will make them 1-1 with each other. So that's my prediction for that. But I'm really excited to see them whip each other. I'm really pumped. I'm the problem. Moving on. We have big title implications with Bash in Berlin. First off, with the World Heavyweight Championship being on the line, with Gunther defending his title against the Viper, the Legend Killer, RKO, Randy Orton, the man. So this is interesting how this has turned out, because during the King of the Ring tournament, when both Randy and Gunther made it to the finals, they had their match in Saudi Arabia, and it low-key looked like Gunther had the pin. But then, of course, if you ran the replay back, um, Randy had one of his shoulders up, but then they still counted it as a pin because, of course, the ref didn't see it. And then WrestleMedia was asking Triple H about what was going on, and he said, "Oh no, like Gunther won, and he became King of the Ring." So, with that being said, everything in WWE is making perfect sense. And if you're a person like me who watches TV way too hard, you know that this isn't just going to be something that's just going to go away. So Randy popped up on Monday Night Raw and told Gunther, like, I want to challenge you because you never really beat me because my shoulders weren't on the mat, and I want to fight you for this title. And of course, Randy Orton has this really big resume. He's won world heavyweight titles and WWE championships left and right. He was the youngest world heavyweight champion at one point, of course, when he was with Evolution with Triple H, Ric Flair, and Batista, even though Triple H at the time didn't like it because he felt like he was always supposed to be the top guy at that point because he was in his old 2000s reign of terror. Um, whoa, what a time to be alive. It was insane. But Randy Orton has a really big history with winning big championships like this. But then you have Gunther, who is probably one of the most dominant men underneath Roman Reigns in modern WWE history. This man held the Intercontinental title for 666 days. Jesus, sorry. And then on top of that, he was the longest reigning, I believe, NXT UK champion as well. Even though you had the pandemic, which sort of fed into things, he was still very much champion for a long period of time until he was beaten by Ilya Dragunov, who he's on Raw with now. So he's a very dominant man. He's not a man that you can just beat, willy nilly. Like you really got to take him down fully for him to be beat because he believes the mat is sacred and he takes himself very seriously in everything that he does, and he's very powerful. So this is going to be hard. Um, but I really believe that Gunther is going to retain his title because he's only held it like since August, and this is about to be September, and I just don't see him, letting that title go anytime soon. And as happy as I would be to see Randy have another title during his run at this point, as he's sort of in the um not the retirement part of his career, but sort of like um he comes from the same generation as a John Cena or and as like an Edge in terms of all of that dominance in the 2000s. So whenever I see Randy Orton, I have to sort of like take I have to not take it for granted because you just never know when he might decide that it's over. Because he's in that same generation, and then of course John Cena's getting ready to wrap his stuff up, and you just never know. So Randy, I feel like at this point is so loved and so appreciated by fans that it's okay if he doesn't win the title again. It would be cool if he did, but if he didn't, it wouldn't mean the worst thing in the world. And I feel like he will definitely give Gunther a really stellar match, which could be 4 or 5 stars depending on who you are. But I feel that Gunther will definitely retain his world heavyweight championship because he's just not ready to let that thing go. And he just feels like everyone's beneath him. So that's just going to be it. Gunther is who I'm choosing to retain his title. And of course, we have the big main event match, which is, oh, I missed the picture. Hold on. We have the big main event match between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens for the undisputed WWE Championship. Now, this is interesting due to the fact that Cody felt like Kevin was worthy of this opportunity due to the fact that he's his friend and he's helped him so many times go up against the bloodline and the new bloodline and all of the things. So he decided, I guess, to give him this opportunity sort of like as a thank you. Um, but it looks like in the interview that they're going to show tomorrow before Bash in Berlin even gets started, there's going to be some resistance on the part of Kevin Owens, and it has been over the past few weeks on SmackDown. But when you think about Kevin Owens and everything that he's done in wrestling, and even the number of times that he has had to face off against Roman Reigns for the title, like it's always sort of been like an uphill battle for him, only for him to get knocked down and having to start all over and fight his way up again. So I am glad that Cody values his friendship enough with Kevin and sees his abilities as worthy enough to challenge him for it. But I just feel weird because at one point last week on SmackDown, it looked like he was about to smack Cody in the head with the chair or with the title, but then he didn't do it. And Grayson Waller, mentioned the idea that Kevin Owens just does not have the best record when it comes to having friends because he ultimately stabs them in the back for the sake of him having gold. Um it's gonna suck if Kevin decides to turn his back on Cody and beat up on him and all of the above and stab him in the back the exact same way that he's done his other friends. But I feel like that would give Cody like the motivation to further defend his title, um, and make him angry to a point to where he has to defend the title. So I feel like this would be interesting to see how it turns out. Of course, because tonight is SmackDown, and then Bash in Berlin is tomorrow. So we just gotta wait and see what happens there. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm going to predict that Cody Rhodes is going to retain his WWE Championship, and that maybe his friendship with Kevin won't be intact after it's over. I I feel like after it's over, Kevin might feel away and then he might attack him, which could lead to them having a rematch at Bad Blood, which would be really cool because Cody has been heavily, a part of the advertisement for Bad Blood with Metro Boomin and stuff. But, I just feel like it would be insane if that would be a Bad Blood match to happen. But at the same time, Kevin might have a change of heart. He might be tired of being the guy that everybody looks to stab in the back. He might just want to chill a bit and just be like, okay, well, you were the better opponent, and I gotta chill out and just, be cool. So you never know. But either way, my prediction is that Cody Rhodes will be retaining the WWE Championship. Now, that's all of my predictions for Bash in Berlin. Now, of course, it you can find all the listings for where and what time it comes on for you. It comes on Peacock at 12:30 p.m. Eastern, 11:30 a.m. Central Time. If you're like me, if you live in Birmingham, you apply to Central Time, and 9:30 a.m. Pacific Time. And outside of the U.S., if you're listening outside of the U.S., you can watch it on WWE Network. And of course, the pre-show starts at 10 a.m. Central Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you're like me and it comes on early for you, you might have to wake up, eat you some breakfast, get you some coffee, and all of the things so you can be ready for all of the wrestling madness that's going to take place in Germany. Because something that I am loving a lot more as wrestlers and wrestling promotions are doing their shows outside of the country is that it's making you having to watch wrestling earlier in the day as opposed to just waiting super late at night to do it. I think stuff like that is really cool. It reminds me about how the first early morning pay per view I ever went to see was NXT Stand and Deliver in Los Angeles. That was interesting. I had to get some coffee, but either way, I was very happy about that. So it's cool. So Bash in Berlin is tomorrow, and SmackDown is tonight. So there's going to be more to feed into the things, but I just wanted to come on this afternoon and give my perspective as to what I think is going to happen for this amazing pay per view. So in the meantime, in between time, um, after all of this is over, I'm not going to be doing like a post show to talk about it, but I will be doing my prediction show for NXT No Mercy on tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to be amazing. And I'm just really excited about this weekend and just everything that's going to happen in wrestling as a whole. So it's just going to be really cool. So I do have some announcements, but I'm currently stalling because technology is being weird. So, um, so please just bear with me for a moment as I move through things. But I just want to thank you guys for supporting me in my wrestling journey and my wrestling career. There's still so much that I want to do and so much that I hope to get done before the year is out. So I'm just really excited about everything that is set to take place at this point. So if you have not already, please follow the Hardy Wrestling Podcast on Instagram at Hardy Wrestling Podcast and on Twitter/X at Hardy WrestlePod, as it says on the bottom of the screen. And follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Queen Steph Hardy. And just continue to see all of my clips and announcements. And of course, if there's anything that you like or resonate with, please share it in your stories, retweet, repost, all of the things, and just continue to get the word out about the show and everything else. And, just help your girl out as she continues to grow in her wrestling journey. I am so happy to be creatively involved in writing now more than ever. I'm just really excited about getting stuff like that started. Please read all of my articles on Daily DDT. I have a new article out talking about why WWE needs women's mid card titles. Read that article and read all of my other stuff as well. I've written 15 articles with Daily DDT since I started with them last year. So please read those and get you some knowledge that makes you want to think further about the world of wrestling and how it could look and all of the above, and just continue to share and support that. And also book your girl if you want someone to speak about wrestling at your comic conventions, be a color commentator for your wrestling promotions in the indies in Alabama or otherwise. Book me and email me at hardywrestlingpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, just be in the know. Just stay in the know, and you just never know what you might see or where I might pop up. I might pop up anywhere. I might pop up in your city. I might pop up in your country. But either way, just be on the lookout for wherever you might see me in anything wrestling related. So, of course, this has been the Hardy Wrestling Podcast with your girl, Stephanie Hardy. And until next time, I hope you enjoy SmackDown tonight, and I hope you enjoy Bash in Berlin tomorrow. So, until next time, which is actually tomorrow, bye, y'all.